I'm going to say this is probably going to be our last segment because we spent a lot of this on AI. So let's get into what
Uh,
we watched.
yeah, yeah, by all means. Do, open
Listen,
that box.
I watched, this is not necessarily in the JoAG purview, but I just have to say, I watched Hot Frosty the other night.
Don't know what
Uh,
it
you
is.
don't know what Hot Frosty is?
Never heard of it.
It's exactly what it sounds like. It is a Netflix Christmas movie, in which Lacey Chabert puts a scarf on a sexy ice sculpture and he comes to life, and
All
they
right.
fall in love. And it is exactly what you think it is if you're into those. There's this kind of self-aware version of the Hallmark movie that exists now, where it's like they understand the formula and all that kind of stuff, and now they play off of that and can, tweak the formula in ways that make it uh, funnier, more scandalous, all these different kinds of things, but keep the core of what people like about those movies. Hot Frosty absolutely does that. It knows what it is. It's self-aware and fun, and just if you're into those kinds of movies, you're gonna have fun with Hot Frosty.
Who's in it? Anyone good?
Well, Lacey Chabert, of course.
All right.
It's
Okay, I don't know
got
who that is.
the Hot Frosty is um Dustin Milligan, who's been in a few horror movies back in like the mid 2000s, but is probably most well known for being on Schitt's Creek.
Ah,
Um, yeah, I mean, mostly nobodies, but it's a fun time.
okay. Um, Let me see. We'll talk about MadS, shall we?
Yeah, this one is getting so many raves. MadS, capital M, lowercase a d, capital
3.5
S.
average.
Yeah, 3.5 average. And I picked this one kind of thinking it being your wheelhouse. I wasn't sure how
Well,
I would
yeah,
feel about it.
listen, on paper, my God.
Right.
Um, you know, uh, narcotics, horror, French,
Mm-hmm.
Gribblies,
Right.
you know what I mean? Murders,
Yep.
nice little bit of quite nicely stylized direction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but left me just unremarkable, just left me
Right.
completely blank and hollow, nothing to take. It didn't move me in the least.
Yeah, it
Which, as
feels like
we
it's
know,
really, yeah, that's the greatest sin
kiss of
is,
death for a film is to
yeah,
leave me completely nonplussed.
it feels like it was really coasting on the, appearance of a one take movie thing. Like it's gimmick,
Mm. Yes,
you
yes, yes. Like
see,
dash cam, like a Rob Savage kind of
right.
joint.
Yeah, so it has, its gimmick is that it looks like it's one take.
Yeah.
There are, of course, little artificial spots where they could make cuts and stuff like that, but you can't really see them. So it looks like you're following people as this is happening. Um, eh, but like, okay, cool, but you need more
Mm.
movie than that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
and it
yeah.
doesn't feel like the movie does much more
No, it doesn't.
than that
And
conceit.
uh just the noise of this film, just
Mm,
relentlessly
yeah,
fucking shrill
yeah,
French ladies
yeah,
shrieking and running
streaking
and
and
falling out of
yeah.
windows. For
Yeah.
for a 90-minute film, god damn it, fucking dragged. 86 minutes, in
I know
fact.
it's 86 minutes and I was like, this feels like forever. I told you at one point that I was considering muting it. It's like
Mm.
I don't think any of this is important, the sounds that I'm hearing. There's already subtitles because it's in French, so I might just mute the rest of this movie.
Yeah, fucking
Um,
suck that, Stephen Hawking. We watched, Night of the Living Dead, 90 minutes over in the
right.
blink of an eye. Mad's
Hmm.
86 minutes felt like Dune 2, just the longest, interminable fucking
Right.
shrieking,
Yeah.
empty nonsense.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I just genuinely am not sure what people are like so into
No,
because there's really not a lot to it. It's,
no.
very simple. I don't think it's like shot super well. It's very dark. You
Nah,
can't see a lot of it. It's kind of ugly. Uh, I don't know. It's a weird movie, but like you said,
but not in
3.5.
a good way.
A lot of people love it.
Weird. Yeah, weird
Yeah.
that people seem to hold it in high
Yeah,
regard, but
I
not
don't.
us.
Not us. No, we were both on the same wavelength. I genuinely thought it was just me. I think partway through the movie, I made some comment. I think I just said, "Oh, this is a very not for me movie," and then you said like, it's not doing anything for me either." And I was like, "Oh, okay, it's not just
Mm.
me then." We are on the same wavelength on
But
Mads.
look, every every failure also has learning, yes.
Well, yeah.
And I guess what if I'm to try and drag out a positive from having sat through that film, it has shown me that my tastes aren't necessarily as formulaic as you might think. You don't just have
Sure.
to have,
Yeah, you can't just be
you
like it
know,
has the parts and therefore you like it.
it's French and da da da. That's not enough.
Correct.
It has to have agency. It has to have a reason to exist. And I didn't get that from Matt at all. It just felt weak.
Well, that's a good point. I like it.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
made me feel better.
Good. The Creep Tapes came out the other day, which is a series, a TV
Oh
series
shit, is
based
that out?
on that's out. The first two episodes are out and then it's releasing every Friday, I think. Um
Mm.
so I rewatched the first Creep the other day. I meant to get to Creep 2 and then I just fall asleep too early to watch anything most of the time. I'm just too tired to watch anything. So I didn't get a chance to rewatch Creep 2. I probably will at some point, but I watched the first two episodes of Creep Tapes and they're a lot of fun. If you like
Excellent.
Creep, I
Ah,
think, it's
very
27
pleased.
minutes of Creep or whatever each episode in which you're looking at him luring different people
Is it the same
into
guy?
this scenario. Same guy. Yeah, it's still Mark
Oh,
Duplass. And yeah, I like him a lot just generally.
yeah, as do
So
I.
yeah, it's fun. I think Creep Tapes is a good time. It's on Shutter. So if you have Shutter, it's on there weekly. I'm looking forward to just seeing. I mean, one of my things that I love is like Monster of the Week
Yep,
shows,
yep,
and
same,
even though the
same.
monster is the same guy, it's essentially doing that, just self-contained stories of the same guy tricking different people to their death.
Yeah.
And it's
What
fun.
did you say Mark Duplass? Is that the same?
Yeah, Mark Duplass. Yeah.
He is the scary Luke Wilson. He's the
Sure.
scary Jason Bateman. That's how I think of him.
Okay. I can see that. I can take
Yes.
that.
Good.
So yeah,
Good.
that's out and I enjoyed that a lot.
I don't often go back to movies. I don't often revisit
It's
movies.
true. Yeah.
If I am gonna
It's
go
more
back
of
and
a
watch a movie
Corrigan
for
thing.
once, yes, it is. Um, I'll recant that a little bit. I go back to movies all the time, but it's got to
Well,
be a
yeah, like
really fucking
your classics.
exactly. It's got to be a special movie for me to revisit it. And with that in
Hmm.
mind, I went back to Alien Romulus
Nice.
to just have another look at it.
Sure.
Um,
My mom has watched that like four times now, but I don't know if she realizes she has. It's just every time I come into the living room, she's watching it, but I think she thinks it's the first time every time she watches
yeah,
it.
it's like 50 First Dates.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Corey, I'm gonna tell you, I knocked off half a star this time.
I did notice that. I did notice that.
I took it down half a star. I'm I'm I have to be critical towards Alien Romulus
Sure.
because the standards that I have set
Hmm.
for the people behind that film are so high. I can't just give it a pass, based on obviously I'm going to love it 4.5 stars. I have to be critical,
Sure.
and I took half a star off because it spoon feeds you as a viewer.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm afraid it does. Every set piece feels like a video game level.
Hmm.
It's just moves from set piece to set piece to set piece. And the dialogue again, it spoon feeds you. You're a synthetic, Andy, of the company, Andy. The company,
Hmm.
Andy, you work for the company, Andy. It's very it patronizes is too strong, but
Right. Yeah.
it doesn't give the audience any credit really. And
Sure.
while it is great, easily 4 stars is where I'm comfortable with it sitting at.
Sure.
Um, yeah, it doesn't it stoops, you know what I mean? It
Hmm.
talks down to you a little, I feel, and that became really apparent on the second viewing.
Yeah. I think, I don't think you're wrong there. I think to me it kind of works because of the way that I tend to watch like sci-fi and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um I don't generally know what's going on when I watch
Okay,
things.
well, yeah, I can relate.
And
Yeah, sure.
yeah, and especially when there's a lot of lore, like obviously I've seen all the Alien movies. It's like my mom's favorite series ever. I've seen them all multiple
Is
times.
it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been watching them since I was like 3.
Mm,
Very familiar with them. And yet, like, I still don't know all the lore of them and things like that. And so when it comes to stuff like this, there's a degree to which I actually appreciate the spoon feeding because I don't
I
want to have
see.
questions. I want to sit there and enjoy
That
the
is an
movie.
excellent point. That is an
Right.
excellent point. Because on the other end of that scale, you've got Prometheus,
Right. Yeah.
which
Which I
is
do
just,
love too. I'm not gonna
please
lie,
just
but
feed me something.
right, yeah.
Give me like
It's
a
not giving
clue
you
as to
anything.
what the fuck you are talking about, because
Right.
Prometheus was gibberish to me. Um,
You're
and what,
not wrong
yeah,
about that either.
yeah.
But
I
I
might
think
add the star
that's
back on now I think about it, because it actually did a pretty good job of tying those
yeah,
two
right. Like it
plots
gives
together.
it pulls everything together
Oh yeah, it does.
and makes it so that I'm not sitting there going, did I need to see something else to understand this?
Mm,
And for me, I think that was one of the reasons I loved it so much was like the one time like where I could go and see one of these movies and be immersed
yes.
in it without going, ah, fuck, did I need
Yeah.
to have seen this other movie to have seen it? So that
Yeah.
really worked for me. I think like the spoon feeding, yes, it totally does that, but it made it so I could sit in the movie and not worry about what was going on outside of
I
it.
and I get that too. It's all valid. It's
Yeah.
all valid. On the other
Right.
hand, I'm a third of the way through going back to the substance.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I want to give that more than 5 stars, if anything. And I'm not even
Nice.
joking. I'm not even joking. It is that good.
It is great.
The um so much reveals itself on subsequent viewings of the substance. There's so much
Yeah, I do look
more
forward to watching that
going
again.
on in that film.
Mm-hmm.
And you can enjoy it. You can enjoy the fucking viscera. You can enjoy, you can enjoy one level of the allegory about aging and about, fucking the male gaze in Hollywood, or, every there's so much Kubrick in this film. There's
Oh,
so
yeah,
much
big
Kubrick
time.
in the substance, like dripping with it. There's Lynch in there as well. There's absurd amounts going on in the substance, and I want to I want to break the mold and give it 5.5 stars. I
Love
might
that.
write to Letterbox and ask them if they can do that
Can
for
you
me.
add one just for this movie? Maybe
Yeah.
everyone should get one 5.5 star movie on
Oh, that's a great
Letterboxd.
idea. That's a great
You got to
idea.
use it wisely. Spend your five and a
Mm,
half stars, so you only get
yes.
one. The other
Mm,
thing that I watched this week was the original Cape Fear from I'm not
mm.
sure what year it was. It's like the 50s or 60s that
Late
this
50s, I want to
came
say.
out. Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity. Have you
Robert
seen it?
Mitchum?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen it. Yes.
um, who is now my sleep demon because I keep on watching things that he's in that are
Robert
terrifying.
Mitchum is your sleep demon.
Yes. Like
Awesome.
why is he so scary? Because the other movie that I have, the one that I'm trying to have you watch, the Night of the Hunter,
Yes.
he is the villain in that.
I
And he
see.
is also the villain in Cape Fear. And he is terrifying in both of these movies in very different ways, but
Yeah.
he plays scary so well. And
Yeah.
the way that in Cape Fear, if you haven't seen either version of this movie, essentially uh this lawyer got this fella put in jail 8 years before, and now he's released and he comes back to sort of torment him and his family with these ever escalating things that he's doing while also basically driving this lawyer to the point where
Yeah.
he has to work outside of the law in order
Yeah.
to do anything about it because from on the surface everything this guy's doing is sort of by the book, he's following all the rules, all
Legal.
these things,
Yeah.
but you know
Gaslit fucking
right.
approach to just
Mm-hmm.
subtly tormenting this family. Really good shit.
Yeah, so I recommend it. It's very different from the newer version, which like the newer version is like fun and campy, little
Mm.
weird with the like Juliette Lewis and
Yeah. De Niro.
Robert De Niro like plot development they do there, where it's like
Is
in
that not
this
a dynamic in the original then?
it is, but it's more threatening. There's no relationship
I
between the
see.
child and him. It's much more threatening that he's like, you know, basically constantly threatening sexual assault on this like 11-year-old kid. Whereas the newer Cape Fear, Juliette Lewis is sort of consensually
Yeah.
um with this guy. Um
I saw De Niro's Cape Fear at a very young age.
Really?
I was very young when I saw that.
Huh. Seems inappropriate.
It does. I turned out all right.
So I only saw it like maybe 4 years ago or so. And yeah, it's just it has a completely different vibe than the original does. Both very threatening figures and stuff like that, but I think it's hard to top what Robert Mitchum does
I
in the
wonder if
original and the straight
I
lacedness of Gregory Peck.
I'm wondering if there's been another movie which has been so thoroughly ruined by The Simpsons as Cape Fear
It's a
because
really good question.
it's fucking just
Yeah, it is
destroyed
hard
it.
to separate it from The Simpsons, isn't it? Very good point.
Hmm.
But yeah, the OG, watch it. It's a good time.
Well, I'll watch Night of the Hunter first, which I
Yes,
will.
please do that. Yes.
Yes. That's one for the Christmas break, I think.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah, I've got a nice fucking fat 2 weeks off, and oh
Mm,
God, I'm gonna watch some movies.
good.
Um, Pete and I watched Scream,
Nice. The
i.e. five.
yeah, five
Um,
cream, as
yeah,
Ben
that
Eller
works.
would call it. Five cream.
That works.
Yes.
Uh, I, I've, I've always loved Scream as a series, and going through them all again like this, it just
Just
really
reinforces.
underlines how
Hmm.
right I've been all along. When
Hmm.
other people weren't so forgiving towards it,
Uh,
I'm kind of looking at you.
oh yeah, you're
You
right.
know,
Yeah, I've been
I've said
dogging
all
it
along,
all these years,
Corey,
and
no, you're just not watching it right, I would say to you. And you'd go, no, Mark, it's self-indulgent and obnoxious, Mark. And I'd say, no, it is, but you're not doing it right. So it's really validatory for me to watch these with
mm-hmm.
Peter. And well, look, all joking aside, Scream attacks me personally on more than one occasion. Like it goes for me particularly plenty of
Oh,
times.
I
There's
love that.
one bit where they're laying out the rules of the requel.
Hmm.
Uh, and how internet fandom is can be so toxic because these remakes, these movies are movies that dads sat down and watched with their kids, and had meaningful moments sharing horror with their children. And I'm like, wait a
Oh,
fucking minute.
wow. Okay.
Can you please not get me right? I don't enjoy that. Um, but yeah, the five cream is great, isn't it
Yeah.
though? It
Yeah, it's a
is.
lot of
I
fun.
mean, it is. I'm
Mhm.
not, uh I can I'm so happy to have been wrong about this series. Scream
Yeah, me too.
5 is fucking brilliant.
Love it. Yeah. I had such a great time with that movie. It'll be interesting to see now with the context of all those ones if 6 still like that you feel like it's just too self-indulgent and all that kind of stuff, or if
Yeah,
putting it in the context of having now actually
yeah.
recently watched all of the other movies, it will be less
Yeah.
obnoxious to you. I'm very curious
And
about that.
even more, even more delightful that I was wrong about it and I'm loving it is seeing Peter really enjoy this
Yeah.
series, man. He's
Right.
super into it. He really likes it.
I love that so much. That makes me
Uh,
very happy because, like I've said before, like, Scream was one of my first loves in horror.
mm,
That was like really my own thing. It's like
mm,
obviously I watched Alien with my mom when I was young, and things like that. There was stuff that I kind of grew up on, but Scream was like, I was
yeah.
a middle schooler or whatever, like fifth grade, that kind of thing,
Do
and
you
I
know,
got to watch these myself, and they were my own horror
um,
franchise.
Pete is excellent at films. He's excellent at movies.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm underestimating him or what going into this, but he's really good at picking shit up. He's really good at kind of noticing details,
Nice.
and plots building. He's very perceptive when it comes to movies. He um he laughed at Dad every time somebody touches a knife in this film. It goes shitting, even though knives don't make that sound
Knives
when you
do
take them out
not
of a
do that.
fucking wooden
Yeah.
block. Really nice.
I love that. That
Mm.
is very
Yeah.
observant because it's a thing you just kind of like we know it doesn't do that, but you just kind of
Yeah,
take it for
Dad, knives
granted.
don't sound like that. And I've reiterated, we'll have him on before Christmas. We'll get to number
Good.
6,
Yes.
and yeah, we'll maybe if it's a pre-recorded that we drop in or what, but
Good.
He's not going to be on a podcast at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night.
Sure. Yeah. We'll figure out a way.
We will.
It'd be
It's gonna
so
be
much
great.
fun.
Mm.
I think that's everything, isn't it?
I think that's everything. I talked about Penguin last week, didn't I?
You did. You talked about Penguin last week.
Lovely little flurry of great telly at the minute. Um, what with Agatha? Oh, Agatha ended so strong.
Don't talk about. I haven't gotten there. I'm
I'm not going to
struggling a
spoil a
little bit
thing.
with Agatha. And I know that once I get a little farther, I will get into it. Like especially because everyone talks about like episode 7 and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff and how great that is. And I think I'm at like 4, and I just can't quite get into it.
Okay. Hasn't clicked. Hasn't
It
landed.
hasn't clicked, yeah. But I want it to. So I will get there. It's just it hasn't quite hit me in the
Yeah.
right spot yet.
Yeah. 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 That's fine. It will.
But
I'm confident that it will.
yeah, I think it will. What We Do in the Shadows is back for its final season as well. So
Hmm.
I have been watching that. I'm wearing my What We Do in the Shadows
It
sweatshirt,
did not
in
go
fact.
unnoticed. It did not go unnoticed.
It was not intentional. I just put on the nearest thing. But yeah, that's back on. I've been watching that as well. And they're going out with a bang, which is nice. It's nice to
Nice.
see a show never slump.
And it is going to get watched,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
Uh, listen, some very upsetting news about David Lynch in the last couple of hours.
What?
Uh, he reportedly can't walk without oxygen.
Oh yeah, because I know he said he can't direct
He
anymore
can't
because of
direct. Yeah, he
his
can't go on a set anymore
is it
because of his
emphysema? What is it that he has?
it is
Emphysema?
emphysema, yes.
Uh,
But like a couple hours ago, David Lynch says he can hardly walk across a room
oh
without oxygen. It's very, very upsetting and does not bode well. He's fucking old, man. He's in his late 70s.
yeah, he's done well for someone who has
Yeah.
emphysema. Um, it's such a bummer thing to see. It's like one of those consequences of your own actions kind of
Yeah.
things, but it's still such a bummer
Which
to
he's
play
very
out
open
that
about,
way. Yes, he is. Absolutely. It's a thing he talks about.
Yep.
But let that I know there's like a new generation of smokers out there, which baffles me. I think millennials are like amongst the like least smoking generation. So it was just like, yeah,
Mm.
everybody dies doing that. Just don't do that. And now the youths are back to doing it again. Don't do that.
No, certainly
Don't
not.
do it.
It's one, maybe one of the only positive things that our new government has done so far. Somebody of Pete's age is never going to be able to legally smoke in this country, which is great.
Is like it's banned altogether?
There's a roadmap in place for cigarettes to become uh illegal to buy. But
Wild. It'll be
yeah,
interesting to see how that works. Prohibition is always a tricky slope. So it'll be interesting to see if that does what they want it to do. Um, but yeah, they shouldn't exist. They should at least be extremely expensive. I think that's
yeah.
what should be the case is cigarettes should be prohibitively expensive to buy.
Well, they already are, but
They are
I'd go
quite
one further.
expensive.
I think there's no reason for them to be around. I mean, if we're
Yeah, I
talking
mean,
like fifth,
it'd be great if they didn't. I just think, they will, whether they ban them or not. Uh, and yeah, you never know what's going to happen when you fully do prohibition with something. It's always a
yeah.
little sketchy, especially because it's not like the rest of Europe is going to prohibit cigarettes.
No, that's a great
So,
point. Yeah, of course, it's instant black market, isn't it? Of course, but
right. Yeah,
a black
exactly.
market for cigarettes already exists. You know,
It's a black market for all things, I suppose. So
you
yeah, we'll
know,
see where that goes. But
yes, 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 yes.
just don't do it. Just don't.
Yeah, don't do it.
There's no benefits to that.
There's far there's far more fun ways of killing yourself
Right,
over long
exactly.
periods of time, you know?
Precisely. Where you don't end up hobbling around on oxygen all the
Uh,
time. I think
and, you know,
David Lynch would say the same.
I said this after Tony Todd last week. This is just going to keep happening now, isn't it? Really,
Yep. The
really worrying.
legends. Especially like, we're coming from a generation that like a lot of them figured out how to get their lives right and stop a lot of their worst habits, but they were guys who lived at a hard hard living time, hard drinking,
Mm.
hard drugging, all of that kind of stuff. And so, anyone who's still kicking is doing very well considering what they probably did to their bodies in their younger years.
Yep.
Um, and you just kind of hope
It's
that they
it's
keep going.
it's the root cause of my the reason I exercise so much these days, and
Right.
why
Yeah.
I don't drink, and I'm pretty much a
Yeah, you're kind of
I'm
a
very
teetotaler.
straight edge at the moment, yeah.
You,
And that's why
yeah.
it's to repair some damage.
Right. Yeah. It's all, we gotta do what we can to fight what we did to our bodies when we thought we were invincible.
We sure do. Mm,
Friends, none of us are invincible. None of us are safe. You never know when a
no one
scavenger
is
is going
safe.
to bite out your asshole.
Eat your rectum.
So
Rectum? I barely know him.
so have a great week, everybody. Thanks for joining us once again as we, you know, sprint towards the holidays.
Mm.
What did we ask people to oh, if you have a holiday reading for Mark
Yeah, if you've
to
got a short story or a piece of prose or anything that you'd like me to read for a
mm,
Christmas spooky reading, send it my way because I'd love to do that.
yeah,
If you have any more compelling ideas about the cattle mutilation thing, because I don't,
sure, yeah.
I'm still not totally convinced it's predators. The teats, Corey, the teats and the
Teats.
anus.
Teats are soft. Have you ever felt a teat?
Yeah.
So that took too long to answer. Yeah, I know I've definitely
For
felt a
all the
teat.
teats I've felt before.
um, you know what? Go ahead and stay spooky.
Yeah.